I walked into the living room to find my wedding photo in the trash. My father-in-law just said, "We thought it was time to clear out the mistakes." My mother-in-law nodded. "You've never belonged here anyway." My husband looked at me and said, "Just let it go. They didn't mean it." I picked up the frame, but I also picked up my laptop. That night, I transferred every financial document into my name. I never really felt like I belonged in their family. Not once in the entire 6 years I was married to their son. I used to tell myself it was just in my head, that I was overthinking, too sensitive, insecure, whatever. I didn't grow up the way they did. My dad worked HVAC, and my mom cleaned houses. We had food, we had love, but we didn't have wealth or degrees or family crests hanging over fireplaces. When I met Aaron, I thought I was breaking some kind of cycle. He was kind at first. Quiet, a little awkward, but smart. He worked in real estate, his family owned a few properties, and he made me feel like I was finally allowed into a life I'd always been kept out of. He loved that I was ambitious. I paid for college with scholarships, worked 2 jobs while getting my degree, and got into project management. I thought he respected that. I met his parents 2 months into dating. That was the first time his mother looked at me and asked, in front of everyone at dinner, "So, what do your parents do again?" Like she didn't already know. From the very beginning, they treated me like I was on trial. I was too direct, too plain, not classy enough. I didn't grow up golfing, I didn't know how to pronounce half the wine bottles they served, and I didn't know who the hell James Beard was. But I tried. I learned the wines. I learned the family recipes. I showed up to every birthday, every fundraiser, every boring country club dinner. I stayed polite when they made jokes about self-made people or working-class values. I laughed when they gave me fake smiles. I cried in silence when they left me out of family group photos. But I stayed. The worst part? I thought maybe over time they'd soften. That once I married Aaron, once I proved I wasn't going anywhere, they'd eventually accept me. They never did. Flash forward to this past year, 2024. We were living just outside Asheville, in a town called Weaverville. Quiet, a little trendy now, full of people pretending to be down-to-earth while sipping $18 cocktails. Aaron and I had started a small business together, flipping houses, renting out vacation units. It was my idea. I had the project management background, and I handled almost all of the operations: permits, repairs, staging, listings, contractors. Aaron dealt with the paperwork, and his parents helped with the upfront money. I let it go when they insisted everything be family-owned. I knew they meant their family, not me. Still, I ran the day-to-day like a machine. We were finally doing well. I thought maybe we were turning a corner. Then came that Sunday. We went to his parents' house like we did every other month. They lived in a big stone house on a hill, full of antiques and silence. I went to pick up some groceries for the visit, even grabbed his mom's favorite imported tea. I walked in through the side door into the kitchen, set down the bag, and noticed something weird in the living room.
You walked over.
And there it was, our wedding photo. The framed one. A 16 by 20 shot, black and white, taken right outside the chapel. I was laughing. He was looking at me like I hung the damn moon. And it was in the trash. Not on accident. Not leaning near the trash. I on it. Glass cracked. The corner chipped. I stared at it for probably 10 seconds before I said anything. That's when his dad walked in behind me, looked at the garbage like it was nothing, and said in that calm, smug voice of his, "We thought it was time to clear out the mistakes." I turned to him. He just walked past me like he was asking for another glass of water. Then his mom came in next, holding a stack of folded linens, saw me standing there, and nodded toward the trash. "You've never belonged here anyway." She didn't even blink. I just stood there holding the counter. My hands went cold. Aaron was sitting on the couch, staring at the TV, some college football game playing on mute. He wasn't surprised. Not at all. Like this wasn't the first time they talked about this. I said his name. He didn't look at me. I said it again. Finally he sighed, like I was the one causing drama, and said, "Just let it go. They didn't mean it." They didn't mean it? They put my face in the trash and called me a mistake. And the man I built a life with, the man I worked 60-hour weeks beside, couldn't even make eye contact. I felt something crack inside of me. Not explode.
Crack.
Quiet.
Slow.
Like ice breaking. I walked over to the garbage, pulled the frame out, sliced my finger on the broken glass, and said nothing. I wrapped my hand in a napkin, took the frame, and carried it to the car. I came back inside and picked up my laptop from the guest room we were staying in. That night, I stayed up while everyone went to bed. I started with the business. I had login credentials for everything. The rental management platforms, the property tax portal, our shared QuickBooks account. I was the one who set them up. I filed a change of address for the business and had all correspondence rerouted to a P.O. box I opened that week. I filed a document with the state removing him as managing member. I owned 51%. He had 49%. He signed off on it when I told him it helped with liability. Then I opened a separate account at a local credit union under the business name and moved every available dollar from our joint business account. I left just enough to keep it from flagging. He wouldn't notice right away. Next, I logged into our brokerage account. We'd invested $48,000 into index funds over the past 3 years. It was doing well. I sold it all. Transferred it to a trust account in my name only. Structured through a family lawyer I knew from one of our rentals. I changed the locks on the rental unit in Hendersonville. He never met the tenants. He never fixed anything. That property was listed under both our names, but I'd handled every piece of it from purchase to paint. The tenants were confused, but happy when I told them they'd no longer be dealing with Aaron. It took me 6 days to unravel most of it. On day 7, I handed him the envelope. He thought it was a gift at first. Smiled. Made some smug joke about me finally relaxing. Then he read it. Inside was a separation proposal. It laid out everything. I keep the business, the trust, the rental income. He keeps his car and his own personal bank account.
No alimony, no lawsuits, no ugly divorce headlines.
Then there was the other piece, a printout of an email I sent to the IRS. It included several false write-offs he made me approve on our joint tax filings. Luxury furniture labeled as office essentials, meals in Miami filed under client development, a $12,000 hot tub listed as a business wellness deduction. I told him I'd be open to cooperating if they called. He freaked.
Cursed at me.
Yelled that I was destroying everything. Said I was crazy, vindictive, unstable. His parents called me, tried to guilt-trip me. Said I was ungrateful, that I was hurting the family. I told them the same thing they told me. I'm just clearing out the mistakes. I thought he would calm down after a few days. He didn't. Instead, Aaron started playing dirty. At first, it was small things. He blocked me on every account, which was stupid, because I was the one who set up most of them. He called a few of our contractors behind my back and told them not to work with me anymore, claimed I was out of control and legally unstable. But I had every signed contract, every invoice. Most of the guys stuck with me. They knew who paid them on time. Then, he showed up at the downtown property one afternoon while I was meeting a stager. He used his old key, I hadn't had it rekeyed yet, and barged in like he still owned the place. You can't just erase me, he said.
His voice was shaking.
Not angry, scared. I looked him straight in the face and said, watch me. That was the last time we spoke in person. A week later, I got a certified letter from his lawyer. He was filing an emergency injunction against the business transfer, claiming I acted under duress and manipulated him into signing control away.
Total lie.
But I wasn't surprised. His parents were behind it. They had always wanted the business in their name anyway, just not with me attached to it. I got my own lawyer. A damn good one. What Aaron didn't realize was how detailed I'd been over the years. I kept copies of everything. Emails, receipts, business meeting notes, texts where he asked me to just sign it. You're better at this stuff anyway. I gave my lawyer a digital binder so full of documentation he said, he's got no case. You did your homework. But they didn't stop. His mom started calling people in town, mutual friends, clients, even my old boss, telling them I had a nervous breakdown. that I'd stolen from her son, that I was mentally unstable and needed intervention. One of my friends from Rotary called me and warned me, "She's trying to destroy your name." Then it got worse. A week after that, I came out to my car and found one of the tires slashed. No break-in, nothing stolen. Just a warning. I didn't say anything publicly. I didn't post on social media. I stayed quiet and careful. I filed a police report just to have it documented. I changed my schedule. I installed cameras on all the properties. I hired a part-time assistant and asked her to stay nearby anytime I had to be on site alone. I also started digging. Aaron always acted like the business was ours, but I knew better. There were other things he was hiding. I had access to some old shared email accounts. And let me tell you something. You want to know someone's true character? Go through their drafts folder. There were messages to a woman named Stacy, an old friend he told me he hadn't spoken to in years. But that wasn't true. They had been talking for over a year. Flirting. Planning meetups. She lived in Atlanta. He went down there for business more times than I could count. One message hit me in the stomach like a brick. It was from last fall. He'd written, "Once the business really takes off, I'll be done with her.
I just have to be smart about it.
She's got her name on everything." So that was the plan. He was going to wait until I built the business, then toss me. Just like his parents wanted. That's when I stopped feeling sad. The tears dried up. The confusion was gone. I saw it all clearly. This wasn't a marriage. It was a setup. I was the workhorse, and they were waiting to collect. And now that I flipped the script, they were scrambling. I made copies of everything, those emails, the timelines, the travel receipts. Sent them to my lawyer. Told him, "Keep this ready." Aaron had no idea what was coming next, but I did. And I wasn't done yet. 3 weeks after the lawyer threats and the slashed tire, I got an email from a woman I didn't know. Her name was Danielle. Subject line: "I think we need to talk. It's about Aaron." I almost deleted it. I'd gotten fake messages before. But something about her tone made me pause. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't bitter.
She was direct.
So I replied. She asked if we could meet somewhere public. I picked a coffee shop in Black Mountain about 30 minutes from home. When she walked in, I could tell right away she wasn't trying to start trouble. She looked tired, worn out, like I probably looked in the mirror the last few months. She sat down, didn't even bother with small talk. "I was seeing Aaron," she said, "up until last month. He told me you were separated. Said the divorce was basically done." My stomach didn't drop. It didn't need to. At this point, nothing he did surprised me anymore. "How long?" I asked. She swallowed hard. "Almost 2 years."
2 years.
While I was building a business with him. While I was fighting to be accepted by his family. While I was working nights making contractor schedules and marketing plans, he was flying out to see her, booking hotels, taking business trips. I didn't cry. I asked her to keep talking. She said he promised her everything. Marriage, kids, even talked about buying a house together once my share of the business cleared. He told her I was crazy, controlling, emotionally unstable. Said I was clinging to the marriage to stay in the family money. She found out the truth after she saw one of my name tags on a property flyer and decided to look me up. She realized I wasn't the one lying. I asked her for proof. She slid over a folder. Printed emails, hotel receipts, photos, a few screenshots of texts where Aaron bragged about stringing me along until everything's in place. I stared at the paper in front of me, and then I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was perfect. Danielle gave me permission to use anything. "I want nothing from him," she said. "I just didn't want to be another woman he lied to." I thanked her. I meant it. And then I started planning the next step. Because now I had something even better than money. Better than contracts. Better than leverage. I had his words in writing. And I knew exactly how to use them. But that wasn't the only twist. 2 days later, I got a call from my lawyer. His tone was different. "Amanda," he said, "we just got served a notice. They're suing you, Aaron and his parents, Not for the business, but for defamation and emotional distress. I almost dropped the phone. They're trying to silence you, he said. Classic pressure tactic. But there's more.
He paused.
They've submitted claims that you threatened his mother, that you sent her harassing emails and tried to intimidate her into signing over family assets. That never happened. Not even close. I hadn't spoken to his mother since the day they trashed my wedding photo. But they were serious. They wanted to drag me into court, ruin my name, drain me of legal fees. They wanted me to fold. I didn't fold. I forwarded every fake claim to my lawyer. I gave him the logs, my emails, the camera footage, the timestamps. I had nothing to hide. But that's when I realized something. They didn't just want the business back. They wanted me erased, humiliated,
Broke.
alone. And I was not going to let them win. Not after what they did. Not after what I gave up. Not after who they showed me they really were. I wasn't just going to defend myself anymore. It was time to hit back. The lawsuit dragged on for 4 months. 4 months of depositions, paperwork, legal fees, and watching people I once sat across the dinner table from try to burn my life to the ground. They were counting on me to break. That's what this was really about. They wanted me to beg, to apologize, to give up the business, to vanish quietly so they could rewrite the story. Instead, I fought. I handed my lawyer every shred of proof, the emails from Danielle, the timeline of Aaron's trips, the financial records I'd kept since day one, the voice message his mother left me by accident where she said, "Once we get that girl out of the way, the rest will fall into place." We had everything. All of it backed by documents, timestamps, even GPS data. And when we countersued for business fraud, marital misconduct, and slander, that's when they finally realized they weren't in control anymore. But that wasn't the best part. The best part came during mediation. They offered a deal. If I dropped my countersuit, they'd drop the fake charges. I'd walk away with $25,000 and they'd take back the business. I said no, but I made my own offer. A full payout of what I was owed, the business legally signed over to me in front of a judge, and a written public apology from Aaron that would be posted in the local business journal, the same one they all used to brag in when our flips were featured. They laughed, until my lawyer pulled out a folder. In it were over a dozen pages of Aaron's messages to Danielle, scanned and printed in bold black ink. Screenshots of texts where he joked about tricking me into signing things. The receipts showing he used business funds to pay for hotel rooms and plane tickets to see her. And the quote that buried him, "I just have to act like I still care until everything's back in my name." She's not smart enough to see it. I watched his face go pale when he saw that. His mother tried to speak. My lawyer shut her down. His father didn't say a word. They settled.
Fast.
The judge approved the full transfer of the business to me. I kept the properties, the trust account, and the company name. They paid my legal fees. Aaron was forced to sign the apology. I watched him do it with his hand shaking, while his parents stared at the table like it might swallow them whole. And then I walked out of that courthouse and never looked back. But it didn't end there. 3 weeks later, I sent a digital packet, everything to the state board that handled business licensing and fraud complaints. I didn't need revenge through the courts anymore. I wanted it in reputation. Aaron lost his real estate license. He couldn't legally work in property management for 5 years. The family's reputation? Damaged beyond repair. Word got around. Contractors stopped taking their calls. Tenants backed out of deals. Their big name in the local housing scene?
Gone.
And Danielle? She started her own business in Atlanta. We keep in touch. We're not friends, but we respect each other. She sent me a message a few months later. "Thank you for making him finally face it. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. It still hurt. Even after all the revenge, the justice, the payback, I had to grieve the life I thought I was building. I had to accept that I married a man who never really loved me, not for who I was. I gave him everything, time, energy, loyalty, and in return, I got used. So yeah, I won. But it changed me. I don't trust the way I used to. I keep better records. I read every line. of every contract. I don't ignore gut feelings anymore. And when I see that scar on my finger from the cracked photo frame, I remember. That was the moment I stopped waiting to be accepted. Now I run 3 rental properties on my own. Business is steady. Quiet. No drama. And that wedding photo? The one they threw in the trash. I had it reprinted. But this time, I cropped him out.